July 14th, 1998, New York City. The temperature was 88 degrees. The city was loud, bright, and completely unaware that it was about to die. At 8:15 p.m., millions of people were watching Seinfeld reruns or the nightly news. The electrical grid was operating at 98% capacity. Official records state that a lightning bolt struck the Big Alice generator in Queens. That is the story they put in the history books. But we have the security tapes from the Con Ed yard. There was no lightning. The transformers didn't blow out. They were crushed by a vacuum. At 8:21 p.m., the darkness hit. It wasn't a flicker, it was a wave, a rolling blackout moving south at 40 miles per hour. 700 subway cars lost power instantly. 400,000 passengers were trapped underground in the sweltering heat. But above ground, the panic was delayed. People didn't scream, they just stopped and they looked up. Because the sky over Midtown wasn't black, it was purple. A low-frequency hum began to vibrate the glass in the windows. Dashcam footage from Fifth Avenue shows the atmosphere pulsing, like a heartbeat, one pulse every 3 seconds. The 911 switchboard received 50,000 calls in 10 minutes, but the operators couldn't hear voices. They heard static. The tapes from the dispatch center are corrupted, not by data rot, but by magnetic interference so strong it wiped the hard drives. Then, at 9 p.m., the first visual confirmation came in. Something massive moved between the World Trade Center and the Empire State Building. It had no lights, no engines, just a geometric edge that blotted out the starlight. It was drifting. A tourist on 34th Street took a flash photograph. The flash reflected off something metallic, only 500 feet above the ground. Animals knew first. Every dog in Central Park began howling in unison. They weren't barking at the dark, they were barking at the visitor. At 9:15 p.m., unauthorized NYPD helicopter Hero 2 broke protocol. They diverted from the River Patrol straight toward the Chrysler Building. The pilot, Officer Miller, reported a dead zone on his radar. He wasn't flying blind, he was flying into a hole in the sensor grid. When Miller hit the spotlight, the beam didn't bounce back. The object's hull was absorbing 100% of the light spectrum. It was a silhouette made of matter. Audio logs record a high-pitched screech. Then the avionics went haywire. The altimeter read 0 feet, despite them hovering at 80 stories. Miller shouted that the object was waking up. A gravity displacement wave hit the chassis. It didn't push them, it pulled them. The pressure inside the cockpit dropped instantly. The windshield fractured from the inside out. They were being crushed by a magnetic field. The transmission cut at night. Hero 2 made an emergency landing in Central Park. The pilots survived, but their watches had stopped. And they weren't the only ones. Down on 42nd Street, time began to stutter. Witnesses described a feeling of walking through syrup. Security tapes from a bodega show customers freezing in place for 18 seconds, then resuming motion as if nothing happened. The laws of physics were bending. Wristwatches in a 3-block radius began ticking backwards. Time was leaking out of the zone. By 10 p.m., St. Vincent's Hospital was overwhelmed, not with injuries, but with symptoms of acute radiation sickness. Hundreds of people had severe sunburns on their shoulders, on their scalps, at 10 o'clock at night in pitch-black darkness. Fire crews detected ionizing radiation near Grand Central Station, levels consistent with a reactor leak, but localized entirely to the streets. The radiation wasn't just affecting people. Car paint bubbled, plastic melted. The city was being microwaved. And then the birds started falling, sparrows, pigeons. Dropping from the sky with their eyes burnt out, they had looked at the light. At 11:45 p.m., ground forces arrived, but they didn't come from NJ. They came from the East River. Their vehicles made no sound and left no tire tracks. Witnesses said the soldiers moved wrong. Their joints bent at odd angles. They were too tall, too thin, and perfectly silent. A civilian on 3rd Avenue tried to film them. One of the units looked up. Its visor wasn't glass, it was bioluminescent tissue. We recovered this tape from a destroyed NYPD cruiser. Officer Daniels tried to stop one. He knocked its helmet off. Pause the tape. Look at the face. They weren't just taking tapes. They were deploying autonomous scavengers, small biological drones that were hunting for something specific. At 2 a.m., the main craft woke up. The hull wasn't metal, it was alive. Veins of blue light ignited across a surface the size of Manhattan. The ground units began to return to the ship. We saw them ascending in gravity lifts. They were done collecting. Look closely at the hull texture. It's breathing. That is not a ship, that is an organism. They took 400 people, but sometimes they left the clothes behind, neatly folded on the sidewalk. The witnesses who talk are silenced, not by the government, by the replacements. Look around you next time you are in the city. Look for the people who don't blink enough, who move too smoothly. Some people came back different, hollow, their eyes changed. They're still walking around today.